destroy Twitter's network effect. Also because Bitcoin discussion is already over several channels, Reddit, the mailing list, Slack, Telegram groups. Twitter is just one of them, so we don't really need, I mean, if PayPal censors me, I need something to get my expenses done. If Twitter censors me, probably I still have a lot of mainstream centralized communication apps to enjoy. So the second doubt is that you will, I would suggest everybody to join, to try it, maybe even to suggest how to make it better. One thing to make it better is that right now it's nice that the single instance can have his own moderation policy, like Rodolfo, which is our Jack Dorsey, will not allow I don't know, shitcoin pumping or stuff like that. But that's not platform-wise moderation. That's just instance-wise moderation, and we can still follow people on other instances which are promoting shitcoins if we want. So it's very granular, very nice. But if Rodolfo wants to censor me, I will have to open up my identity again on another account, which is migration is not trivial. And also, there is no guarantee that a Giacomo Zucco here is a Giacomo Zucco there. So usernames are not unique. So probably this federation approach will benefit from some kind of OpenID, unified identity. And it will really benefit from some cryptography. Like if I send a private message to Leah, which in sign maybe some OpenID with or PGP with public key in order to sign, in order to decide identity, and some kind of, when the metadata of your profile, like your picture, can still be federated, but maybe your identity, like a PGP key, should be probably cross-site instance, and some encryption in order to have privacy within the circles would be nice. So I think we are still a little bit far from one big plus, though, when you switch from a centralized commercial platform to a decentralized nerdy version, usually people complain because you don't have a good working mobile app. But the nice news here is that Twitter does not have a good mobile app, because Twitter mobile sucks. It's a hard time. So there's no real difference if you switch from Twitter to Mastodon. Moderation granularity is great, Tone, also for scammers, because while it's very difficult for Jack to decide a platform-wide policy for scammers, because if you make rules which are too strict, you ban everybody and you open up DDoS attacks. While if you do that too loose, then you have scammers. This granularity can help much, because Rodolfo can go like zero tolerance with Ether giveaway, while other instances can allow them. So it's more, you can have more emergent order.
Yeah, very interesting. And so the interesting thing also is Rodolfo, the creator, is skeptical. It seems like you're skeptical. I want to read this toot that you sent. Yes, everybody, it's not tweets, it's toots. Love it. I want to emphasize that I'm very skeptical that crypto Mastodon will take off, but I'm willing to try because, 1, we need to learn how to continue the conversation under censorship. 2, we need alternatives to Twitter and Reddit. 3, help platforms like Mastodon improve. 4, figure out how to transport identity and reputation. 5, find alternatives. 6, enjoy some shit posting. So I do think this is very interestingly in alignment with what Giacomo just said, but why are you skeptical? You built it.
I think, no, I didn't. I only set up an instance for this project, right? I mean, I'm not a contributor. I just simply, this is the beauty of open source. Like, you go and you run it yourself, and because it's federated, you connect to other people. I think this platform needs to sort out identity. The identity stuff is still too convoluted, and without identity, humans want to own like themselves, their image in public, right? And that's why, for example, domains and any finite word space, like domains or Twitter handles, are very valuable because one, there's scarcity, and two, once you have it, it's yours, right? And you own that name. So people want that. Now, these guys need to sort out identity, either through maybe, some basic cryptography could do this. If you can just sign a message so they know, maybe there's even two NVKs, right? But people can at least check the signature to see that my NVK is mine. It's not my imposter or fan NVK, right? So anyway, so they just need to sort out that. And I think if they sort out that, this could take off. But as usual, these things, I think it's part of the ethos of the product. So something else is going to probably come and sort of have the solution that we need, and we'll probably migrate there.
Thanks. And Tone, it says it's home to, at this point, 1,355. Did you make that 55 this morning, or
I think I have about 20 followers already. All you guys are already ahead of me in this one. I created my account this morning. Mostly, my number one reason is, to prevent some scammer from getting Tone Vase, on Mastodon, if people are going to be using it. I don't really, again, I'm not an expert at federated systems. And it's good that you are running one of those instances, Rodolfo. And something on that Giacomo said, like Jack Dorsey can't make, first of all, Twitter is really, really big, and it's very difficult to, do moderation there. And also, they're a publicly traded company. They could get in hot water right now if they set some kind of a broad policy, the way, what happened with Alex Jones, which we will be discussing in the law show because it's a freedom of speech controversy. So, if Jack Dorsey puts in a policy, he doesn't want to be, all over the news that he's preventing free speech. And that's not going to be a problem if Rodolfo, on his instance, bans all Ethereum giveaways, right? Or something more drastic than that when it regards to shitcoins, because while at the same time it's kind of open, at the same time the moderation policy could be more extreme. So it's a bit of a trade-off. Like, what do you want? It's going to be really interesting.
Sorry, Tone. Here's the kicker: is that you can go and create your own. So if you don't like the moderation, you can create your own, and then we can talk to each other from yours, or we can block you.
Right. The question is, can I move is it possible to move my account to another instance?
No, but you can create multiple accounts.
So do I need to create Tone Vase on all other accounts?
Yeah, and you will have to manually export and import things like following. So you don't have to start over from zero every time, but you need to create Tone Vase in each instance you want to use. And if you want to transport metadata like following list or stuff like that, you need to do that in one passage, but manually. So,
okay. Wait. I'm gonna interrupt here. So, isn't this a problem? I created Tone Vase on your instance, and on the main instance, Mastodon.social, there could be a scammer right now creating @Tone Vase.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
The identity problem we were discussing.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
I don't even want to have this account, period, because I can barely manage my Twitter because of time reasons. And now I got to manage, let's say, 8 different Mastodon Tone Vases.
No.
Exactly.
You can join. No, but see, here's the thing. You can join other Mastodon other Mastodon instances with your identity from this instance.
Oh, is that an option?
Yeah, it's just convoluted. This is early days of this project, in terms of sort of getting bigger. They're either going to solve these problems or something else is going to show that we're going to move to. But again, it's important to realize that we need this kind of stuff, and we need to test this idea of quickly moving from one platform to another and continuing the conversation in case we get censored.
All right. Well, I recommend, hey, Rodolfo, if you can write up quick directions for people to do that, I would love to get Tone Vase. Excuse me. I would love to get Tone Vase on the regular one as well, on the
there is no regular
server.
It's just majority, not regular. Just a very famous instance, but it's not an official instance on everything. Also, for the time problem, You can use like a Bouilleton is using the if that then this method. In order, I mean, if you want to manage all your accounts like Twitter and this at the same time, you can set up a kind of easy program that when you post on Twitter, automatically post on Mastodon and the other way around. It's still not like super neat, is a little bit buggy sometimes, but it does work.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to move to this other story.
Oh, sorry, if I may, just a very sorry, Leah, just a last very quick comment of Mastodon. Don't get this wrong. Mastodon is not yet censorship resistant. It is a federation. Federations are not intrinsically censorship resistant. If you can think about, for example, shitty federation in shitcoins like EOS that are very easy to censor, or even serious federation project like Liquid or Tor. Tor is actually a good example of federation that so far is showing some censorship resistance. But the federation is a system in which you have fixed known entities, and these entities can be legally liable and get taken down. So there is a story of, I think 2 years ago or something like that, about, or maybe last year, if you go on Mastodon and you search for Federico Tenga, his nickname is Fed, is not the Federal Reserve, but is my friend Federico Tenga, he posted this old article in which some Japanese people created a Mastodon instance that was allowing for like underage porn, manga, which was not illegal in Japan, but it was illegal in the USA. And so they started to, basically they had to break the federation and they could insulate it and basically censor it.
You can block an instance.
Yeah, exactly. So the majority of the instances blocked that instance. And so it was effectively, let's say, not censored internally, but censored externally. So this is not yet censorship resistance. And when you have censorship resistance, maybe you're not happy with what you end up with. So you have to remember that censorship resistance is always a double-sided coin.
Thank you, guys. And I'm going to be selfish because the next one is actually something that I'm passionate about too, and understand maybe a tiny bit. But yes, everybody should sign up, and it's very interesting, and especially what you guys are talking about, that it's still a development in progress. So hopefully we all work together on it. So Google search can predict Bitcoin price increases, study finds, and it very often is utilizing the CAPM model. Tom, do you think that this is true?
Yeah, it's true. I'm actually frustrated again because like this video cut off after 15 minutes and we are now streaming on yet another video. So just like what happened to us before, I have no idea. Like I don't understand why Zoom is having all of these freaking issues, and I'm paying them a lot of money for this capability, and I just have no time to deal with them. We lost the stream after 5 minutes, and we've started a brand new video. It's really frustrating, guys, between the color issues and these, and I just don't have the time to find another streaming service because Zoom clearly is a piece of crap. But right now, it's the best piece of crap that I've been able to find up to this point. All right, so no, this is totally true. We saw that how the Google searches went up for Bitcoin and in December, and I mean this research just shows it to you. Now it's hard to trade on this information because you don't know how high things can go. Yeah, Leah. So if you want to pull up Google Trends. Right. So those are Google Trends for the words buy Bitcoin. No, just leave it. Yep. These are Google Trends for the words buy Bitcoin. And you can see how heavy it was back in 2013 when we hit 1,000. And then again, how serious those Google searches were for buy Bitcoin. And look how much they've fallen since then. Now, the interesting thing is if you compare that to simply the word Bitcoin, no, not there. Leave that part and then go to compare, yeah. So just the word Bitcoin is in red and buy Bitcoin is in blue. So you can also see how Google searches for Bitcoin itself have seriously dropped. So Google searches have dropped off back to the early 2017 levels. However, there should be a lot more hodlers now than in the early 2017 levels. So the price shouldn't come all the way back down to that level. But this makes total sense as to why the price continues to, lag a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll follow this. Oh, sorry, Rodolfo.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why this is a surprise. I actually been using this for a long time. Like, it just, Google Trends, like you can figure out if there is flu is picking up in your city, like all kinds of stuff. You just plug it in a few terms. You're just essentially getting the knowledge of the crowd, right? There is some causality that could happen too, but yeah, I think this is a great source of knowledge.
Giacomo, would you use this? What do you think?
I do use it sometimes, not consistently, but I agree with you. This is a good source of knowledge. Of course, you cannot trivially connect prices with this kind of data, but this is this is an indicator that for sure has some kind of not linear correlation with price. But I would say bi-directional. A lot of interest may indicate that a lot of people want to buy, so may indicate a rising price, but a rising price creates interest because creates FOMO, and so people goes to search. So interesting, not necessarily for trading, but also it's also interesting to break down this kind of stuff into geographic areas, because then you can understand the geographical breakdown is sometimes very interesting, like to look at things like Argentina or Africa or something like that. So I use that for some kind of heuristics in the past, and it's interesting.
Interesting. Thanks, gentlemen. I just guess one last note is, so they're comparing it to, just to note, the CAPM model, right? So capital asset pricing model, just really quickly, right? That model, describes like the relationship between systemic risk and expected returns for the assets, particularly in stocks, right? Securities. That's why they're, bringing it back to traditional markets. The only thing that I find interesting, why I didn't like CAPM when I was working in finance, is that it's actually time independent. So really, when we always talk about behavioral economics, right, and game theory and everything in the crypto world, and so therefore we know that very much so that time is dependent. So if yesterday we think, then there's so much FOMO in this world, right? So yeah, I do think that this is very, very interesting, absolutely true, and I hope the study continues. Okay, now on to Blockstream, back out of my depth, absolutely. Improving privacy using pay-to-endpoint P2EP. Rodolfo, I will start you off on this one. What is Blockstream up to? What's the latest news?
So this is still an idea, right? I don't think it's fully implemented, but you don't need changes to Bitcoin to make this happen, right? This already works on Bitcoin as is, which is pretty cool. So this is essentially a way of messing with coin analytics, right? So all those companies that sell services to de-anonymize Bitcoin. What this sort of SPAC does is you essentially so when you want to send Bitcoin from person A to B, right? You ask person A for an address, and then you just send the Bitcoin, right? So then coin analytics systems, what they do is they look at all the other ATXOs that seem like around this guy, right? And they essentially cluster them, and they say, oh, look at this. This must be a wallet of a person with all these addresses, right? And then you also slightly de-anonymize the sender as well, because they can follow back and see where that cluster was. So what this does is declustering, right? So it asks the sender to also send the receiver to also send some Bitcoin to a specific address in a specific way, right? So then it really sort of messes up with the understanding of the cluster. It's sort of like a neat trick. I'm still learning more about it.
Interesting. Giacomo, what do you, as a follow-up, what do you think?
So it's very interesting. Rodolfo already explained it pretty much. It could be interesting in order also to mess up some kind of de-anonymization heuristic, like No Para and Waxwing, Adam Gibson made pretty good studies about which kind of heuristics the blockchain analysis company are using, and how this evolution could break them or make them unusable anymore. I would say that what I appreciated in this idea, also that the privacy stuff that can come with it, is also other two things. One is that this is another example. This is another very nice example of the trend that we are seeing in other contexts in Bitcoin, in which Satoshi Nakamoto had an idea. It was a theoretically cool idea, but implementation was broken and impossible to use. Then Bitcoin developers and Satoshi himself, who are very conservative, they basically shut down that idea for many, many years. And then they came up again with a sustainable way to make it work. One other example is Sigash no input, L2, instead of n-sequence idea, n-sequence channels idea from Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi created the n-sequence channel idea. N-sequence wasn't working as intended, so they stopped using it, and now they are proposing a new version with L2 and Sigash no input. Well, in this case, Satoshi created originally the P2EP address option that could also be, it should have been possible to use in order to allow the receiver to set the fees and to set the breaking down on the address of the outputs. So it was an interesting way for the receiver to contribute to the shape of the transaction or to contribute to the fees, but it wasn't working. It was like awful for privacy and everything. So they deleted it from Bitcoin for a while. And now with this, they are basically taking it back in a sustainable way. So this is a nice tendency. The second thing that I like about this is that this is a little bit technical, but the concept is that this is another case in which you need, in order to work, you need the receiver to be online at the same time of the sender. This is a very restricting condition. We like Bitcoin because we don't have to be online all the time. So we don't need to store partial data. We don't need to be connected all the time. We don't have this kind of problem. But when you do have the condition in which both parties are online, you can do a lot of very, very nice things. Lightning Network itself is a case in which both people has to be online, and you can do funny things like zero conf and zero fee. This is another example of people who needs to be online at the same time. And the RGB project we are doing with assets is another example in which you have to be online kind of at the same time, at least to use it at best. Client-side validation idea by Peter Todd is another example, which we use in RGB. So it's a nice tendency that there are different projects that are, I mean, Bitcoin is fine because you don't need to be synchronous. But if you can be synchronous, there are a lot of cool things you can do on top.
Thanks, Giacomo. I love getting explanations from you guys. And Tone, thoughts on the piece and what Blockstream is up to? It doesn't look like we're wearing our Blockstream today, guys, the three of us, but yes. Tone, what do you think?
Giacomo is. That's a Blockstream t-shirt. But yeah, so look, just general comments. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the tech because that's beyond my understanding. But just in general, right, the smartest people in the world are working on making your transactions more fungible and more private. That's one thing. The other thing is they are implementing stuff they've considered since 2013, right? These things take time. They take time based on priorities. They take time based on coding. They take time based on, volunteers, not some, paid developers that will do a quick job and move on to another project. These things take time to get right. And most of the stuff that these altcoins are able to, push out within 3 months, it's not even the stuff they came up with. I'm pretty sure a core developer has written about it back in somewhere between 2010 and 2013. And these guys are just able to get it done because they get paid because they're printing money for themselves. These things take time to get right from multiple perspectives. And this is why there's no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin will be the only one that succeeds and everything else is just garbage.
Yeah, it's hard. cryptography is hard, and making sure that you don't scam yourself, like you don't scam your network, is hard too. You need a lot of peer review, and it takes time.
Yeah, I guess also we say all the time, right, that really the adage that people say in Silicon Valley of go fast and break things is not how it should happen in the Bitcoin world. So interesting. Now we are on to Corey Field's Medium post, responsible disclosure in the era of cryptocurrencies. My experience disclosing a critical Bcash vulnerability. Now this was tweeted around a lot. Jimmy tweeted it as well. Giacomo, it is called Bitcoin Hash here. Just tell me what happened in this story.
Well, so it was it is not the first example of a evil blockstream controlled Illuminati reptilian conspiracy participant Bitcoin core developer actually helping out Bitcoin clones that cannot understand what they are cloning and what they are playing with some kind of help. So the kind of bug is serious. Is the bug that would have likely created the chain splits. Of course, one counter argument could be that in a centralized coin like Bcash or Ethereum or other centralized coin, consensus splits are not so serious like they would be in Bitcoin. Like in Bitcoin, one of the worst possible outcome that you can have. It's a very, very serious bug. It's a bug that can destroy the trust in the currency. So the value long term. So you don't have to mess with consensus splits. While in Bcash, probably, if there is a consensus splits, you just ask Gian which one you have to follow, and he decides, and you do. Like it happened with an hard fork a few months ago. Basically, it was like 1 hour to coordinate everybody following the boss, and some nodes could not synchronize and whatever. Even if right now in the Bcash field, from what I see, there is some kind of tension, like the main developer, the man who created Bcash, Dedal Nix, was basically banned from the Bitcoin Cash chats by other guys close to Roger Ver. So and also Gian is fighting with the scammer Craig Wright, who is fighting with the other Rick Falkvinge. So yeah, there is some kind of friction. So maybe if they had a consensus split in this political internal friction context, it will not be so trivial. So Bcash is more decentralized now that they are fighting with each other, within each other. But this is a very, very bad kind of bug. There is somebody with the way Corey Fields disclosed it is also an example of how you do things in an open source project. You don't reveal the bug before. I mean, it's very difficult because it's open source. So it is supposed to be everything in the open, without any kind of secret, without any kind of secret committee or people controlling the protocol. But yet, if you just put on your blog the vulnerability and you spread it, people will immediately use the vulnerability in order to mess with the protocol. So it's tricky how to disclose things. There is an whole culture, a whole etiquette on how to disclose vulnerability in open source projects. And Corey Field followed that etiquette. So he contacted the developers first. So you select a set of people that you think they are interest aligned with the success of the project. You tell them, then you give some time in order to create countermeasures, and then you public. You make everything public. He did that. Also, there is some consideration. I mean, it's a nice article. I would suggest everybody to read it. There are some consideration about how it could be dangerous to use your real world identity when you are doing responsible disclosure. There are a lot of interesting, almost philosophical topics around this episode. The bottom line is that Bcash development is shit. But on top of this, there is a lot of interesting topics to discuss.
Thanks, Giacomo. And Rodolfo, before turning it to you, I wanted to read from here. Working through this bug, which certainly had the potential for catastrophe, wow, I need my glasses, has reaffirmed my belief that the threat of software bugs is severely underestimated in the cryptocurrency world. Speaking to, thoughts on follow-up from Giacomo, I found what he was saying about ethics very interesting, but also what Corey is saying here. And the way he went about it, but also just broad spectrum. We have this in Bcash. Just, what are your thoughts when you read this?
I mean, Bcash is garbage. And it's run by one guy. There's essentially one developer. And, I mean, props to this one developer, because maintaining a project this size alone is essentially impossible. It's all like just a bag of shit. Like it's pointless. I mean, there really isn't much to talk about. I think Giacomo really sort of nailed the whole explanation of this. Those guys don't know what they're doing. Thankfully, Bitcoin developers do have ethics, and they sort of sorted this out. I guess this was an opportunity to sort of use the muscles of ethics.
Yeah, interesting. And yes, to note, right, I helped develop and maintain Bitcoin Core, and explains, although he is trying to avoid catastrophic software bugs. So I do appreciate that. Tone, lastly, what do you think of what Corey's been up to?
Yeah, so I don't find what Corey did to be very responsible. It's one thing that if you're a doctor and you have some kind of, like a medical oath, and some serial killer is about to die next to you and you have to save his life. I don't find this to be very responsible. Bcash Bcash still being around is creating serious problem for Bitcoiners because of brand confusion. So it's hard for me to it's great that he is light years smarter than anyone who even thinks about Bcash as a viable alternative. But I don't see it very responsible, to help a project that's actually damaging Bitcoin even minorly. So I don't find this to be a very responsible thing to do. Again, maybe I'm not high enough on the programming ability to have coders ethics to, help, something that's really, really bad going forward survive. But I don't find this to be a very responsible thing to do.
Follow up on that. Do you think from a marketing perspective, him showing specifically vulnerabilities in Bcash shows their inferiority, as well as just when he's talking about the issues with chain splitting? That again, that this
No, it doesn't. If people cared about this kind of stuff, then EOS wouldn't exist today, right? All of these other shitcoins wouldn't exist today. People don't care. The way people see it is, oh, great, a vulnerability has been fixed, and that's awesome. No one cares about the fact that people in Bcash were never going to be able to actually find it if it wasn't for smart core developers. I don't see it.
I disagree just a little bit on that. I just think that it's extremely embarrassing to Bcash. It's demoralizing that they rely on Bitcoin Core developers to sort of sort.
No, I disagree with you completely. It may be borderline embarrassing for their one developer, but the people that are pushing Bcash don't understand any of this stuff. They probably didn't even know. How can you be embarrassed by something you're not aware of? And 99% of all of the Bcash people were not aware of this thing, just like I wasn't aware of this thing until just now. So no, I go the other way completely.
Last follow-up. I was gonna turn to you, Giacomo, anyway. So go for it.
Okay. No, thank you, Leah. No, yeah, I don't know if I agree more with Tone or with Rodolfo. I understand the point, but I'm actually conflicted in a way when there is a blatant scam raging over everything. I mean, if one coin has a problem with the website, you probably don't want to waste your time in saving the website of one coin, because otherwise people lose money. They are losing money anyway because it's a scam. So that argument is valid. Also, it's true that probably people will not recognize the nobility of these gestures because they will reshape being a scam built around scammers and built by scammers and by fraudsters. They will reshape the narrative in order to ignore this, which is not even the first case in which a Bitcoin Core developer saves Bcash. But on the other hand, the times in which somebody do not do that, like when there was Bitcoin Unlimited bug after zero, and nobody, and a few people knew about that, but nobody cared about making to contact the Bitcoin Unlimited developers or developer. Then somebody exploited that bug, and Bitcoin Unlimited collapsed completely. And then they raged for months about conspiracy theories about Peter Todd attacking Bitcoin Unlimited, which was funny because it was Peter Todd's birthday, and he was having dinner with me at a Mexican restaurant in Milan, and we were with him, where all the world was accusing him to be the one taking down Bitcoin Unlimited. But I mean, doing like this, you defraud them from yet another conspiracy theory excuse. So I don't know. I'm like equidistant from. I understand both your points.
Thanks, and I'll throw in a quick contrarian thought. You guys can fight me on lastly, but I actually like it only in the fact that I think will lead to more of the demise of these shitcoins. Simply put, because they keep failing, right? I mean, again, EOS is my favorite popcorn, but they are not learning from these millions of mistakes. And it surprises me that the news repeats itself every single day of how every single shitcoin doesn't learn from 51% attacks and all these other incredible developers who actually point out how to fix it, and yet it isn't fixed. Yet we have in Bitcoin, we have the best programmers in the world. So truly, again, since we don't do the go fast and break things, that we are more methodical. Whatever. I do think that these stories are good in that it shows that not just are these Bcash, but the other shit coins, are they really shit? But that they're also not learning from anything. So they're going to continue to be scammed. So I can only hope that more of them keep failing. So I will end on that one. But Rodolfo, I have an open dime now, thanks to you. And it is awesome. I set it up. Although, as you very well know, with full disclosure, I screwed up because I'm really dumb with tech, and that is totally on me. But anyways, can you just give everybody who's been asking a little explanation, or as long of an explanation as you want, about OpenDime? Your tweet here says, quick way of using OpenDime as cold key generator for Bitcoin cold storage. So overview of OpenDime, please.
Right. Well, let me change my hat first. Hang on.
Yeah.
There you go. You need a costume change here. Okay. So a lot of people want to use OpenDimes anyways, let me start with what is OpenDime? It's just like, it's a Bitcoin bearer bond, right? It's like a safe device for you to generate a private key. The key here is you don't know the private key, so it's good for you to only deposit amounts that you're sort of willing to lose, because it's kind of like a wallet. If you lose it, you lose the money, right? It's sort of like, and then you have to really physically break it and seal it so that you can see the private key. Now, that's great and all. You have a bunch of them, you put money in them, and then you use it for commerce. Wonderful. Now, people want to use OpenDime for cold storage, right? Because it is a safe way of generating a private key that is unexposed and truly random. Now, the problem with that is OpenDime doesn't have a backup. And if you're going to do cold storage, you need backup. So devise this little trick for you to still use a cheap way of generating a safe private key with an OpenDime. The difference here is you get yourself a Raspberry Pi, a cheap one. You connect it to a screen. It's not connected. Don't connect it to the internet. Don't connect it to anything. You stick the OpenDime in. You initialize it, and then you take it out. You save your Bitcoin address. You take it out. You unseal it. You plug it back in. Now it's going to display the private key. Well, this Raspberry Pi is cold, right? It's not connected to the internet. It's not connected to anything. So it is safe to be there. So now you write down the private key on a piece of paper or something, back it up, and now you can use that Bitcoin address as your cold storage. So you send money to it, you know the backup is safe, and you know that it generated a private key that is extremely safe. One of the biggest problems with cold storage and why I hate paper wallets is because people use their computers to generate private keys. And your computer is a very complex machine, and it's going to be owned eventually if it's not already owned. So remember, even your clipboard on your computer, every single app on your computer can see the clipboard, including the shitty extensions on Chrome. So you don't want to use your computer to generate private keys. If you don't want to use an open dime, it's fine. Use a Raspberry Pi that is not connected to anything to generate those keys. But now, here's the problem. You need to know how to bring the Bitcoin stack over to the Raspberry Pi for you to generate private keys. That's, again, another problem. So you need to trust the source. You need to trust the binary. There's just too many things on the chain of trust there. And that's why I like the idea of you spending $10 to generate a private key that is safe and sound, and you don't have to worry. Just make sure you back up.
Thank you. There's some people who are saying, please write that as a guide. You do have absolutely these really good videos on the page, but that was really helpful. Thank you. And stopping screen share. Tone, TA?
Hey guys, yeah, so not only am I having problems with streaming today, TradingView managed to apparently remove all permissions to all of my clients that were using the TI script. Like they've all disappeared. It was like a managed script where I manually pasted in a lot of people to grant them permissions, and TradingView screwed something up, and now that's all gone. So it's possible no one has access to the TI script right now. And that's going to be the rest of my day trying to deal with TradingView and figure out what the hell happened and how we can get all those users back on, because I think I have a database of all of their TradingView IDs, but if I have to manually paste all that in, that's not exactly ideal. And it's a large number of people that have access to it already. So anyway, so it's just a bit of very frustrating morning, guys. All right, here is the price of Bitcoin. That's the monthly chart starting to pull back a little bit. We're going to have to wait till Sunday for resolution on the stop and reverse points. I'm going to go through this fairly quick. Here's the weekly chart. We do have a descending triangle, and we're still working on that. This is the week. We have to wait for 2 more weeks, right? Because we had a 9, we had a 1 to 4 candle correction. I didn't really see it. I thought the way this 9 formed, we were going to go straight down. We pulled back into the death cross. We've now pulled back down. We have fallen really far, really quickly. And I am waiting for a bit of a pullback. This pullback could be as high as 7,500. Most likely, the most likely outcome is 7,000. And then we're going to be going back down. Here is the daily. The daily is on its 1 to 4 day pullback. I have no idea how big this 1 to 4 day pullback is going to be to the upside. I gave it enough rope to go all the way to 7, but it's possible it's already has ended, and we're not going to know. So I'm not going to see a short trade until after we go below 62.50 area. So ideally, you want there to be a price flip. You want this to hang around here for a few more days. You want there to be a price flip to a green 1, and then a green 2. The green 1, then a red 1, and then a red 2 below a red 1, below 6,300. So right now you have either a bit of a no trade zone, or you're still on a tradable bounce. Your tradable bounce depends on when you entered the trade. I sent that tweet out yesterday. If you speculated on a bullish move at the top of this 9 candle 2 days ago, you are in a very bad position. If you speculated near the bottom of that candle, you are still in a positive, profitable trade. So it really depends on where you entered. And I recommend setting a break-even stop loss and not messing with it, because you are trading to the upside at counter trend rally. I'm still expecting a $5,000 low sometime within the next 30 days or so. Here is the 12-hour chart. The 12-hour chart is on that price flip, which is good. It's holding up against the setup trend line. And I would like to see a price flip to a red 1 and then a red 2 going below a red 1 at the same time as it going below the setup trend line, setting up for a beautiful short trade on a 12-hour chart. Ideally, you want the RSI to come back up, MACD to come back up, CMF to come back up. Like, a lot of these conditions are still oversold. You want to really alleviate these conditions so that the next time we cross below 6,200, you have, open air. Like, I'm going to keep drawing these red arrows until I'm right, because sooner or later I'm going to be right about that $5,000 target. Here is the 1-hour chart. The 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart was looking great off the 9, pending this weird Darth Maul candle. And it was looking good for a 9 to the upside on a 4-hour. That didn't work out overnight. We dropped a little bit. We did not have a red 2 below a red 1. So technically, you're in a no trade zone. Wait for a price flip to the upside, maybe a green 2 above a green 1. I still think that we could hit 7,000 before significant downside, but it doesn't have to. Here is the 1-hour chart. The 1-hour chart gave you a nice 9 a couple hours ago, maybe 6 hours ago, a nice 9 and a nice 13 that got deferred into this area here. And now we're easing off a little bit. I don't know. It just, I'm pretty much neutral across all time frames right now. I'm not leaning one way or another. I'm neutral across all time frames. On a daily time frame, however, it feels like we should have a little bit of a stronger bounce just to get all the dumb bulls thinking that we're going back to new all-time highs and bad positions. And also, I believe that people were way over leveraged short. Here's the 4-hour chart. And the red is your short. You know what? I want to see if I can not display the charts. Maybe I can't. I'm trying to clean this up as much as I can. I guess I can make this a line chart. Yeah. So just to clean it up some more. There's the price. So red is short positions. And you can see over here how high the short positions got back in June. This is the 4-hour chart. And look how short positions have collapsed as the price slowly was going up and up and up and up. There's your price. And the short positions were at the max back at 5,700. Now short positions are pretty damn high again. So it's time to alleviate the shorts. People are way over leveraged short, and these shorts probably need to come back. So we could have a bull run up to about 7,000. It'll certainly be less than the prior high, just to alleviate those too many people short. You can't have too many people profiting from the drop in prices. So it just doesn't work that way. That's pretty much it for me. I'm going to have to figure out this whole trading view nonsense along with the Zoom nonsense. But S&P 500, whoa, having a bad day today. There it is, huge gap down. I don't know why. I was looking forward to getting that perfect 9. Let's see what happens. Today is Friday. Let's see what happens over the weekend. Gold is still at the lows. Nothing is going on there. Amazon pulled back a little bit. I still don't see much of a worry in the stock market. And announcements, where is, man, I got too many things open. Don't forget to pre-register for the Chicago Carnivory Dinner. It will be Thursday, the 24th. Thursday the 24th is the Carnivory Dinner. Pre-register, and then you'll get a chance before it goes out to the public. I will be in Vegas speaking at Chain Exchange next week. I will stay in Vegas to speak at Block Show. After that, it is the Chicago Voice of Blockchain. Then the cruise, where all of us are going except Rodolfo, unfortunately. The blockchain cruise in the Mediterranean. Then there's going to be another conference, I think in Ukraine I'm going to speak at, but it's not finalized yet. Then the Honey Badger in Riga, then the Blockchain Day in Amsterdam, then maybe another conference in Europe for me, and then Hackers Congress, and then other stuff. And again, if you like this show and my work, please support via affiliate codes. I'm going to stick Open Dime on the next iteration, probably this weekend. Open Dime and Cold Card.
Awesome. Tone, I have one more announcement if you want to go off screen share.
Sure. Or should I pull up the tweets you sent?
Yeah.
Oh, Vortex. Yes.
Yeah.
I had that here somewhere. Where is it?
Not just Vortex. This is Rodolfo.
Yeah.
Rodolfo.
So Vortex is starting a new show, and he's having me talk about Cold Card and Open Dime as the first guest. So that should be fun. It's in an hour.
Oh, it's in an hour. Okay, beautiful. Yes. Yeah, so check it out. Vortex's new CryptoCast network. Rodolfo will be the first guest talking about Open Dimes. And I don't know where. Oh, here it is. Found it. Vortex and Nicholas Dorier, they are programming with blockchain course. Check that out as well.
Awesome.
Right, cool.
All right, Rodolfo, let's get you to it. Everybody check it out. Everybody have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. You can find this later on Tone's podcast. And Rodolfo, Giacomo, Tone, have an amazing Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Leah. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.